Welcome to a new episode of 2020. My name is John Gerges and I'll be your host for today's session. And I'm from the Church of the Virgin Mary and St. Athanasius in Mississauga, Ontario. I'd like to introduce to you the gang for tonight.
I'm Miriam from St. Mark's, Scarborough.
I'm Charles from St. George and St. Louis, Toronto.
Hey, my name is Monica. I'm from the Church of St. Mark's, Scarborough.
And I'm Bolas, and I'm from the Church of St. Mark's, Scarborough.
So we have an amazing cast for this evening, and we also have an amazing topic: materialism. Yo, are you kidding me? Materialism, like stuff that we like to collect, right? Stuff that we like to purchase and put in our houses, and then we have to sell our houses and buy bigger houses to collect more stuff. So let's see what the gang has to say.
I think we don't realize how big of a problem it is, materialism. And like the commandment to have no gods before the one God, we take that as a commandment that's so easy to follow, but we don't realize that we're doing that every day when we keep buying stuff and worshiping that and taking that as a priority before God.
Okay.
I totally agree with her. Like, when we always go out and buy stuff, like, we don't really put in our minds. We're buying too much, and then we have to, we always buy more and more and more, so we have to waste money so we can buy another house that fits all of our stuff.
Our problem in society is we like stuff. Like, I'm going to admit, I like having new stuff. I like the idea of owning something that I don't already own. Like, we're overly greedy sometimes, and we kind of have to reflect. Like, when you look at people in Africa, for instance, like the poor, and you're like, wow, I have so much stuff, and they don't have anything. Like, that seems so unfair sometimes, but we can't help it. We're just greedy by nature.
I think we're all materialists. I'm materialist. I'll admit it. I'm materialistic. I could say that I worship my phone because I probably check it more than I look at my Bible, right? If you do that, you could probably say that you worship your phone, right? Because you're always checking it to see what's new, right? Like, especially if you have Facebook or you're socially connected on your phone. I think that's what happens with me. I end up looking at my phone even when it doesn't vibrate. I just look at it, oh, what's happening with these people? Like, what's new? Maybe I'll post something, right? So I think materialism it's huge, right? Especially with electronics, right? Because electronics keep us socially connected to everyone, right? Materialistic things, especially with houses, right? Everybody wants to have the best, biggest things, like biggest cars, the nicest houses, nicest cars, nicest things like that, so we could show it off to other people, right? Because we're worshiping these things, and we want other people to see that we have them, right? But we don't care if other people look at us and like, oh, is he a Christian? Or maybe I should be an icon of Christ, and I should show other people so they should appreciate that. But instead, I'm trying to buy the biggest car, the nicest phone, the nicest new clothes. I'm trying to be materialistic so other people will appreciate me. But is God appreciating me? That's the question I should ask.
So, where do you draw the line? Is it wrong to buy a new car?
Definitely not.
Is it wrong to buy a big house?
No. It depends on your intention, I guess.
Yeah.
What is your intention? Are you buying this big house for your own pleasure, or are you buying this house to worship it? Or is it like, oh, I want this because it's cool, or I want people to look at me and say, oh, look at that guy, he has a huge house, it's really nice. But why are you buying the house? I guess it's all an intention. If you really need it, if you have a big family, or if you need the house, or is it an investment? Are you making an investment in that house? Purchasing a big house so you'll be able to sell it later. What's your intention? I think that's what you have to think about, your intentions.
And especially when it comes to electronic stuff, every time you look in the newspapers or watch TV and see all these advertisements for different electronics, and there's always new stuff coming out every single day. And you bought something maybe yesterday, and then tomorrow there's something new, and you're like, what is this piece of garbage in my hand? I need to go get the latest things, right? But when you look at yourself, you ask yourself, do I really need this stuff? Is it helping me at the end of the day? Am I getting closer to God, or am I getting further and further away from God because of all the distractions with all these new things that you're buying? And you see sometimes out in the streets, in other countries, the most simple people who don't have a lot of stuff, they're so thankful for the little that they have, and they're so much closer to God than we will ever be in our lives. That's what I personally think. But we have so much stuff, it takes us away from the whole aspect of God. And we're in the world for a short time. Eventually we're going to pass away and go to heaven, God willing. But what now? Is this helping us for the upcoming future?
That's a good point. I mean, where do you draw the line? Like it's so if it's not wrong to buy a new car if you can afford it, and if it's not wrong to buy a house if you can afford it and provide for your family. So then we're talking about collecting stuff. Do you ever notice when you go out to the store and you've had your eye on something and you all of a sudden, after weeks and weeks of wanting to purchase this thing, this item, whatever it is, could have been a new cell phone, could have been a dress, could have been shoes, and you buy it. And it gives you a sense of joy temporarily.
Yeah.
All the time.
Doesn't it do that?
All the time, all the time.
Like how long does it last?
Yeah, it's really trivial.
Like it lasts
Yes.
what, for a very short period of time?
Yeah.
And even when we're kids, like, I remember myself even, there's like a new doll I want to buy, or a new toy, and it gives me joy for like 2 weeks, and then I throw it in the basement, and then I want something else. Like, you're not fulfilling yourself at the end. You just want more and more and more and more
I
and
think,
more.
like you said, sometimes you buy things to like impress other people,
Yes.
not because you need it. But I think sometimes you're also trying to convince yourself, like,
Yeah.
look at everything I have.
Yeah.
I'm great.
For sure. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with yourself, your psychological self, your psychological needs. Like, I want to buy this to fulfill this gap in my life. Sometimes that's the thing. Sometimes we buy things to fill a gap in our life, and we're not looking for God to fill that gap.
You know, it puzzles me a bit to think that maybe there is somebody out there watching this episode who actually has nothing. Maybe over at a friend's house because they don't have a house.
That's
And they actually don't own a thing. They don't own a house. They don't know when their next meal is coming from. But yet, they have time every day in their life to get down on their knees and to thank God.
Yes.
When you think about something like that,
Those people have everything.
they honestly have everything
Yeah.
they need.
Yeah.
They really do.
They have the time to thank God for their day, to ask God, to talk to Him, to communicate with Him. They have everything. If they have time to do that, they have everything.
That's the message for us, isn't it? Isn't that the message for us who live in North America? Who we have just about everything that we can put our eyes on. But at the end of the day, it's not fulfilling. It doesn't bring joy. It doesn't bring lasting joy. Right? Look what Jesus says in Luke chapter 12. He said to them, "Take heed and beware of covetousness." Do you know what covetousness means?
To covet things is like to look at someone else and say, oh, I really want that. That's something, why does he have, why don't I have it? You know what?
Like
I want that, yeah. It's a jealousy.
It's a
Jealousy
way
of
envy,
material
right?
things, yes.
It's envy and jealousy in material possessions.
Yes.
Right? So Jesus is saying, beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses. It's so powerful. It's not in the stuff that I own. It's in the heart. It's in
Yes.
my relationship with Him. So for the person who's watching this episode over at their friend's house because they don't have satellite, who has nothing, we want to be able to take a message from them for our own lives and say, you know what? We here in North America, we need to learn from you. We need to learn that the joy is not in acquiring stuff, but actually it is in the relationship with Jesus Christ. Do you ever notice when you actually buy a gift for someone and you go out and you actually spend a lot of time to buy something and then you give it to them? You have more joy.
Yeah, because you like to see how happy they are with what you gave them, and it gives you a sense of pride and accomplishment and joy inside of you because you made someone else's day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say it gives you more joy than they did, than they have from receiving the gift, right? They're probably happy, but you're probably happier that they're happy, right?
Absolutely.
You were able to make a friend happy, you were able to give them something, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the simple things in life that bring long-lasting joy,
Joy, yes.
right? And that's in the relationship that we have with our Lord. It's in giving to others. It's not in acquiring stuff, but it's in giving stuff away.
I think that's huge. I think we we look to buy things for temporary joy, for temporary happiness. I know I do it with phones a lot. Like, I look at a phone and I say, oh, I have to have that. Then I buy it. And then a couple of months later, the next thing comes out and I'm like, now I have to sell my phone so I could buy that one, right? I keep doing that a lot. And it's just temporary joy. When I get it, I'm so happy, right? And then in the next month or so, like a couple of months, it usually takes 6 months for the next big thing to come out. And I'm like, I have to have that, right? So I think that's the problem. We keep looking for temporary or things that can fill us temporarily, right? Where we have to be looking for things that can fill us permanently, like Jesus Christ.
And I have something to add to that. Like, we can go back 1,000+ years ago when this Samaritan woman went to Jesus and he asked her for water, and then he told her that you're wasting so much time a day getting water, but you're going to thirst again and you're going to have to go get more. Like, if you really want to quench your thirst with something, I'm the living water. Like, come to me and you'll never thirst again. So I think we just have to keep that in our minds all the time, that Jesus is our priority. With him, we're not going to want anything else if he's our best friend or our main goal in life.
This is a really good example.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for attending another session of 2020. We look forward to seeing you very soon in the near future. God bless.